Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome to the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Ben.
And I'm your co-host, Carissa.
Perfect. So everyone, hey, welcome into today's program. So today on the show, we have the one, the only, Mr. Nathan Evans, Popzara.com. If you haven't checked them out, we highly recommend that you do. Longtime Computer America correspondent. And I guess his totally volunteer other duties here with the show, which is helping us cover conventions. Him and his crew over at Popzara has actually been pretty easy considering, hey, everything's online, so he's skating by this year. But everyone, he's a lot of fun to talk to, and I'm really looking forward to our segment with him. We have a lot of different topics, a lot of very interesting stories, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So everyone, before we do that though, computeramerica.com, that's where you'll find everything, including past shows, future shows, show notes, reviews, articles, topics, anything and everything having to do with Computer America, you can find at our website, computeramerica.com. While you're there, also be sure to check out the podcast and be sure to check out social media and give us a follow, give us a like, all that good stuff. So with that being said, everyone, Carissa, how you doing?
Pretty okay. How are you?
Not bad. Nothing new. Oh, well, actually, one thing new to report, and people who've been listening for the past couple days may know this. I need to say it every single time, though. Computer America will have no new shows next week. I am taking the week off. I am leaving town, so there you go. We will be back. Let me get the perfect dates for you guys. So the October 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, no new shows. And then starting, I guess, November 2nd, we will have, new shows. So, Carissa, you can take the week off too. You don't just have to sit at your computer for, 5 hours.
Sweet.
I give you permission. So everyone, be sure to check out there. And because of that little bit of a time shift, that is why Nathan Evans is here with us normally every last Friday of the month, but here he is on a Thursday. It is complete, craziness. It's okay though. We'll be okay. Everyone, welcome onto the show once again, Nathan Evans, managing editor of Popzara.com and correspondent to Computer America. Nathan, how you doing?
What is up, Ben? What's up, Chris? Nice to be back. Real quick, for those who don't know, Ben is not telling you the truth. He is full of lies. No, Ben, are you still going East Coast? Is that the plan?
No. I was supposed to go to Maine, but Maine has travel restrictions. New England, Maine, that whole thing I was going to, but travel restrictions and all that kind of stuff. I am going not to the East Coast.
Well, this is pertinent because, as you know, I was in the East Coast last week, and I have some helpful travel advice to listeners because they might need it. So every state is different. Every state is unique. So if you guys, anybody's going to New England, and as you know, Ben, do not fly into Boston, Logan Airport. Screw that. You will be quarantined. There's lots of stuff there. Instead, here's what you do. Fly into Manchester, New Hampshire Airport. It's 45 minutes away. It's a nice, beautiful drive through the countryside. No quarantine because you are in the state where the motto is live free or die. Their motto,
that's very applicable.
Their motto is a threat. I love it. But no, I'm from the area, so you know how it flies. No sales tax either. So go through lovely New Hampshire on your way to Maine. Go get some lobster, get some clam chowder, get the New England clam chowder, not the burnt nasty canned stuff. Yeah, you'll be happy.
Yeah, and by the way, one of the reasons I really wanted to go to Maine and New Hampshire and that whole place, the lobster rolls. I see them all the time on Instagram all the time. Or whatever.
And they're great. They're fantastic.
They look amazing, and this is not a plug, but there are services that you can go to that will actually ship it to your door, and actually buy the food from the restaurant itself and then ship it across the country. Either if you want authentic Chicago style pizza or authentic New York bagel with spread and stuff like that, they'll actually ship it to your door. And I'm thinking for my birthday, because I'm not going to be able to make it to the coast for a birthday event or something like that, I would just have lobster rolls shipped to my house. It's worth a shot.
I don't
How
know
long
if
does it
it's
take?
it's lobster.
Shipping should like the whole, there's a lot of back end process, but they say they get it to you within like 3 days of kind of them packaging it and airtight.
3 days.
Yeah.
3-day-old lobster roll. Delicious.
It'll be good.
Do you remember it was years ago, like 10, 15 years ago, when In-N-Out Burger and a few of the other locally provinced chains, they would companies would pop up to mail you In-N-Out Burger. I'm going to say, no, don't do that. 3-day-old lobster roll, that thing's going to be rancid.
I'm
Probably
willing
froze it or something.
Yeah,
I'm willing to try it, and because it's a little bit more on the expensive side, I am willing to write a review on it, because I am like, hey, look, whatever the shipping cost is, that's cheaper than a plane ticket. So if I'm just going there for the lobster rolls, I know there's more there, but still, I don't know.
Well, I'll just final thought on this whole thing, but it is interesting though when you're sitting at a restaurant, when you look outside the window and it's the ocean, and you're like, whatever I'm going to eat was in that. Like this morning. It's crazy.
As someone who grew up in Florida, that's
Yeah, but those are Florida oceans. What's in there? Like wood chips and needles?
I don't know.
Depends on where you're at, I guess.
Mainly immigrants. But yeah, it's...
Don't eat immigrants. They're not tasty. Not enough meat on them.
No, you want the fat, rich ones.
Exactly. So go to California.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm thinking about trying this whole thing, but I don't know. That's a whole different
That
side.
does look good.
Why does that lobster roll look like a Japanese anime?
I don't know. But product images, they are what they are. So everyone, lobster rolls aside, you did want to talk about one thing before we truly got into the stories. And this was, I'll go ahead and let you introduce it, Nathan.
Sure. Did you get the story? So R.I.P. to someone who may not seem like they're related to the technology, but they truly are. And that is the late, great James Randi, the greatest skeptic who ever lived, and sadly passed away at age 92. I don't know the exact day. I don't think they released the exact day. However, his organization, which the James Randi Educational Foundation, gave us the news, and I don't think it's fake. For those who don't know, James Randi was a professional skeptic who would debunk BS skeptics. We're talking about spoon benders. We're talking about televangelists. He most famously, and quite frankly, awesomely, and his name came up in the news this year in regards to presidential debates, because people, the QAnon, the conspiracy things were saying, Vice President Joe Biden would wear an earpiece, and James Randi name came up because in the 80s, what he did is he proved that, and forgive me, I don't have it, I don't have the name on me right now, but there was the evangelist that would pretend to, be told through God that his congregants, God was speaking to them and he would give them answers, when in reality, he was being fed through a transmitter in his ear.
Yeah, and Randi, I actually remember that, where like they would have them fill out like little questionnaires and cards, and someone would be reading them behind the stage. Yeah,
there was actually
Peter Popoff.
It was Steve Martin actually made a movie where he played a preacher that made fun of this. But Randi put up a receiver, and he actually was able to capture. He was able to capture the communication, and he exposed them. Isn't that awesome? Like, where are people like that today? Like, that is amazing that somebody would go through the trouble of debunking manipulative BS on such a scale, to the point where he would offer hundreds of thousands of dollars to people who could prove certain things were real, and no one ever took him on the offer. It's crazy.
I mean, he was obviously he mentioned like the skeptic in chief, like that was his role, and he did it very, very well. And I even like this one excerpt from this article about his death, saying that on the Tonight Show, Johnny Carson, Mr. Uri Geller, he was an Israeli performer who could bend spoons with his mind, and they kept spoons off stage, away from everyone, so no one could manipulate them. And I don't get this. If you know that you're using prop spoons to do your tricks, kind of cancel the whole thing. Instead, he sat there for 22 minutes on live television and failed to bend spoons.
Yeah.
Why are you trying?
Because that's what happens with these frauds, right? This is actually, it's psychologically been analyzed to the point where you could predict it, where people, they dig in. They know they're wrong. They're not going to give up. They will destroy whatever credibility remains simply because they can't let it go, because they
believe
the sheer
themselves?
will of, yeah. But Uri Geller was his was basically his nemesis, and he basically chased him down for decades. And but no, it's fantastic. And for anybody who wants a little snapshot of Randi, check out the documentary. I believe it came out in 2014 or 2015. It was called An Honest Liar. It was available on Netflix. I don't know if it is, but seek it out. It's fantastic. And I won't spoil it, but there is a secret in the movie that turns out Mr. Randi was hiding a big secret of his own. And when you see it, it's very surprising. And I don't want to spoil it for you. But no, he was interesting. He never really got the acclaim of his because he did a lot of work in atheism, which is controversial itself, but he was never able to parlay his skepticism into a social media phenomenon the way other people like Richard Dawkins
did. Penn Jillette of course, Penn and Teller
they loved
that
him.
Without Randi there would not be Penn and Teller. And so when you say he didn't get the acclaim, I mean, Penn and Teller definitely did, but they got the acclaim by, introducing people to the mysticism and the magic and, the tricks. But at the end of the day, Penn and Teller still said, these are how these tricks are done. It's very, very practiced sleight of hand. It's not magic.
Exactly. And again, it's magic in that a human brain could develop the sequences that would allow these things to happen on the stage, like the creativity that, who's the goodness, you probably know this, Ben.
Chris Angel.
The contraptions. What would they call them? The Pee Wee Herman type
Ruth Goldberg machines.
Yeah, the Goldberg machines. And you see that pop up on YouTube now, where people make these outstanding contraptions that boggle. Like Goldberg. I couldn't do that.
I'm sorry,
Rube Goldberg.
Yeah.
And isn't it just fun to watch? Like, it's not magic, it's science, it's physics, it's that stuff, but it's incredible. And that is, in a way, a kind of magic. And Randi promulgated that, and he'll be. Although, again, I love the press release, and this is my final thought. Said he died of age-related causes.
You don't say.
Yeah,
it definitely reminds me of a joke about I think it was like Jeff Foxworthy, or whenever the Redneck Comedy Tour was going on, they were like, grandma died, and they're like, oh no, how'd she die? It's like, yeah, she wrecked a Harley up on Dead Man's Peak. How do you think she died? She was 104. but yeah, and one last thought I gotta say is they have a quote here from Randi saying, my best friend is instructed to throw them in his ashes in Uri Geller's eyes. I'd like him to get an eyeful of my ashes. I think that would be appropriate. That was Randy's last wish.
What a surly old man.
Yeah. Seemed like fun. Yeah.
He's like I said, very interesting. Recommend it. You may not agree with him. He's dished a little more into politics than maybe I would have liked, but other than that, he's a character, and he will be missed.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, I completely agree. I definitely do recall the press release that he died like a day or two ago, and I do recall that one of the commenters said, "I don't believe it until I see the body," and that was exactly. That was so, okay. So with that being said, let's go ahead, and before we start talking about the kind of the news that we're here to talk about, why don't we go ahead and touch real quick on Popzara and what people can find? I mean, what have you guys been up to lately? There's so much going on.
Oh, look at that beautiful website. Don't get used to it. It's changing. So we're doing what everyone does. We're consolidating. We're going to make it nicer and prettier, and probably a little more bland than my cartoon sensibilities would have liked. But yeah, you know how it goes. Websites are never finished. They're always just what are you doing?
Nothing.
He doesn't dance.
I think that all websites should, and it's when I was designing a website, I had to make that decision. Like, whenever people have like new and interesting websites, it's fun, but people enjoy websites that they know how to use right off the bat. So as not fun as it seems, when you homogenize, make your website just like every other website, the downside, your website isn't kind of unique. But the upside is that people instantly know how to use it and navigate it, which is what you want.
So it's basically a compromise between the familiar and the unfamiliar, and what separates us from anybody else, of course, is content. The best way to explain it to a crowd like myself that is only mildly technically efficient, like I sound like I know what I'm talking about, and I've got Ben and Chris fooled, but I don't know what I'm talking about. I fake it. I just make it up as I go along. Like, who's going to win the election? Me. I'm going to win the election. And I'll be just as accurate as anybody else predict, because who the hell knows who's going to win the election? But I'll say this. If you have an iPhone, if you have a Macintosh, a PC, an Android, you know what I'm going to say. You log in, you put your credentials in. There's an email program for your email. There's a web browser for your web browser. There's a text message for your text message. And that's what a website really has become, Ben, as you know. It doesn't matter what it looks like, as long as the information's filtered. There are people who get their news through AMP. There are people that get their news through filters. There are people who get their news through Facebook or Twitter. Like,
or YouTube.
90% of the people, YouTube, but 90% of the people don't come to your website at the front page anymore. They come in through external links.
Yeah.
And so you can create the greatest home landing page in the world. You could be so proud of it. Your mother finally feels your college was vindicated. But at the end of the day, if nobody sees it, it doesn't matter. And so what you want to do is you want to create the experience on every page. And so we use a process called homogenization, where every page has what it's supposed to be. And when you're a low budget website like ours, you really have to try harder. And so hopefully the next iteration will show that a little more. But no, I'm proud of it. It works. People like us. Yeah. Gosh darn it.
We like you. We like you for sure. So everyone, you can head on over there. And of course, like he said, there's more than just articles. There's also podcasts and all that good stuff. So everyone, I thought we would start with a couple of these stories. And, I was looking over some of them. A couple of ours overlap. And I think the first one is actually, we're going to talk about Quibi. I never learned how to say it, and luckily,
don't worry, you don't need to learn.
I ignored it long enough that it died, so it's okay. Quibi. It's a short form video, and I guess they were trying to move into the space that TikTok currently occupies, but of course this would be like an American version of TikTok. Turns out no one was looking for it, and well, Nathan, what happened?
Well, first of all, you just exemplified everything we talked about website design. If you can't pronounce it, you've got a problem. Second of all, Quibi, Chibby, whatever, going after the TikTok market is like gonorrhea going after the chlamydia market. It's like, why would you want that? I mean, I know it's profitable, but it's not going to last. It's not going to work forever. It's like, you're temporary. You're going to be replaced by something else that comes along. And the idea that you're going to have this consumer-based subscription model that's going to rival not just Netflix and Disney Plus and HBO Go, but somehow it's going to rival CBS Interactive. Well, first of all, you need content. And the content they had looked like commercials for commercials. Have you seen this?
I think I did, but like literally the only time I ever saw Quibi kind of come up was, I guess, literal commercials. Like I never saw anyone actually go there for the content, so I guess I've never really seen.
Do me a favor,
content.
Scroll back up a little bit. Look at the logo of this thing. What's the logo? What's the letter of the logo?
It's a giant Q.
And what's really not popular right now online and on social media?
Canon. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Canon. No, you know what I'm saying. It's Q. So nobody did the research when they made this thing. I think they went down the alphabet and they say, what letters are left? Like, what letters do we have left, and what can we work with?
Well, and that's like that's the fun part, and we've talked about this with venture capital funding and tech companies. I mean, with Twitter, for instance, Twitter didn't actually turn a profit for like the first 8 years that they existed. Many tech companies don't actually turn a profit for years and years and years. Some of the best known names out there just burn through venture capital money trying to get the users, and this was another case where. You're joking about their logo. They probably spent $1 million dollars on that, and then another couple million figuring out how to advertise it.
Somebody out there right now is eating 3-day-old lobster rolls, celebrating $1 million paycheck for doing a font. And I'll say this. You're right. By the way, we were talking about Tesla before we recorded. I believe there's a story floating out there that Tesla just this week, became profitable. Isn't that crazy?
They reported their 5th quarter in a row of earnings of being profitable. So
that's insane.
So
like
about
a lot of people. Yeah, that's quite good. And
a lot of people did not expect Tesla to ever do that. A lot of people thought that, hey, you can't take on the likes of Ford that have been here for 100 years and become profitable. Yeah,
and that's a good parallel to what I was going to mention about Quibi and its competition. Is that it wasn't just that Tesla did good. It's that the other guys did poorly. And so, for example, when you talk about Quibi, we're going to they made the assumption that everybody has low attention spans. They flagrantly ripped off YouTube's trailers. If you go to YouTube, YouTube will have trailers before trailers because people's attention span is so low they can't wait 10 seconds. So they took this concept and they took like Scrooge McDuck buckets of money to dumb people in Hollywood and said, hey, look at this. You don't have to waste any time doing 30-minute shows. That was yesterday. They went to Cartoon Network and say, you don't have to waste time doing 15-minute shows. We're going to do 10-minute shows. We're going to do this stuff. And first of all, if you know anything about Hollywood production, what a waste of money that is. Like when you have $30 million to spend on a show, right? You want to stretch that content out to as much content as possible because that content gets chopped up like sushi and distributed among 100 networks. But if you spend $30 million to make 10 minutes of content, yikes, it better be gold. But no, you got Chrissy Teigen as a judge and you have garbage shows that nobody wants to watch. They couldn't even give it away.
In the article here from Ars Technica, they were saying things like the coronavirus affected them negatively because people weren't watching videos on their phones while they were, say, commuting on trains because they weren't, commuting on trains. And then, of course, they had at that point, they were competing with other at-home offerings like Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, things like that. I think that's completely false. I think Quibi just failed to attract an audience, and they can blame it on whatever they want. It just wasn't interesting.
Go back 6 months ago. Yeah, exactly. Go back 6 months ago, and everything they just said was listed as an advantage. Oh, people are watching more on phones. People are watching Netflix. People want to watch Netflix. By the way, here's the comparison. Hear me out. It's going to be short. When we talked about Disney Plus, and I said on this very show, and I think I've been vindicated at least slightly. Everyone thought Disney Plus was going to come in and steamroll Netflix. And I told you, I don't think so. And I told you why. Because Netflix's long-term goal for 10 years had been built into creating content for that app, whereas Disney's entire mode had been culling content from outside. Oh, don't worry, Mulan will hit the theater. Up will hit the theater. And then everything else after Disney Plus is gravy. Well, the pandemic did affect Disney horribly. Terribly, shut down all the revenue streams, shut down their theaters, shut down their theme parks, shut down everything except animation. And so Netflix was well positioned. So Netflix survived because Netflix had a smarter, resilient, disease resistant thing to continue the theme. Right. But Disney Plus didn't. Disney Plus has been okay, but it hasn't been anywhere near the success Disney would have liked. And so same with Quibi, but Quibi was a mistake for the beginning. Quibi was all the wrong decisions. Like every decision that they made was wrong. They didn't make any right decisions. Nothing. Like this is a textbook case of how to rob investors. Like a lot of money got laundered after this thing.
I don't think it's robbing investors. This is a good snapshot into how the tech industry, especially in California with, again, venture capital funding, this is every not Pinterest, not Twitter, not, big startup, being overstock, of course. I mean, this is every other tech platform that didn't take off, and you just kind of realize the big ones, but this is one that just didn't take off, but they all start the same way. It just didn't attract users.
Well, the funny thing is the platform, right? Just I think this week we heard that Apple is going to start releasing Apple TV apps on other platforms, like the PlayStation is going to have it. You have Apple Music on Android. I mean, even though they're your competitors still make money. And we've talked about this before. Like Minecraft is owned by Microsoft, but it's still available on iPhone. And so you need to have this. You need to have this spread of what's the word I'm looking for? Client software. And if Quibi is only available on a phone, it's only available then I'm sorry, but it's going to limit you. Not necessarily because it's on a phone, but while you're watching, you can't do anything else. And that's the problem. You can't tweet while you're watching Quibi. You text while you're watching Quibi. You can't go on Facebook while you're watching Quibi. It's one or the other. You can barely
blink because they're like 2-minute episodes. So,
and did I mention the content is terrible?
Yeah,
like that. If you could have garbage content. Like, no offense, I don't like TikTok. The stuff on there will rot your brain, but it's what the people want. I mean, okay, PSA: do not eat Benadryl in quantities. Do not eat Tide Pods. Must be said. But no offense, if you're going to be stupid, be as dumb as you can. And that's what TikTok encourages. It really encourages you to be as dumb as you can. There's a market for that.
But it's for entertainment.
For my entertainment. If you're going to eat Tide Pods, film yourself. I want to see it. But they rob banks. They rob banks. They tear down signs.
I feel like if Quibi had any chance of actually succeeding, it was going to be with the whole TikTok ban, TikTok going away, that kind of thing. I will say one thing that TikTok has been doing very, very well over Quibi, and I don't know how much money they've actually been spending, but I think it is in the billions or at least hundreds of millions of dollars. You were mentioning content. They have a very intricate and very wide not professionals, but like partners, and kind of make content and will pay you for how many people watch it, that kind of thing. They onload a lot of their power users and start paying them money to stay on the platform, make content on a regular basis, and get paid to do it. And
it doesn't work though. Like we saw that with Twitch. But Twitch,
they stay and they hope.
But the thing is, you remember on Twitch where Microsoft, what was it called? What was their thing? Mixer. Hey, let's pay untold gobs of money to Twitch people. Come on. Okay, they paid them. Did the audience follow? No. The audience is very resilient. They do not want to leave because they're too lazy. And so they're going to stay on Twitch. And what the problem is that you can't transfer the popularity.
To be fair, I think Mixer did grow, but it grew at 30%, whereas Twitch, which was the established brand, grew at like 100%, and YouTube grew at like 90 to 100% as well. It just did not grow as fast.
The problem, though, is it's culling from the same market. And you can have 20 million people on Twitch. You can have 8 million people on Mixer, but they're the same people. Like, that's the problem. It's not expanding the market. You need to expand the market. It's the first rule of capitalism, is that you can't have the same overlap, because eventually what good is advertising if you're just recycling? And so that's why the users couldn't go from Twitch to Mixer, because they're the same people. Like Microsoft was literally throwing money away. They weren't going. I mean, there was no horizontal lateral movement, and that's why it failed. And but that's why you have things like Apple Music and Spotify, which again do pretty much the same thing, that can exist because of the way the content is presented. You have playlists, you have moderators, you have all that sort of thing. So it's the same content. It's just presented differently in different ways. And what Quibi try to do is they try to go on their own. They tried to create all this original content based around a 10-minute model. And the problem was that A, nobody wants it, and B, well, nobody wants it. And if you don't have it, remember what Steve Jobs said about this. If people want your product, they'll buy it. And if they don't, they won't. And they don't want Quibi. Goodbye, Quibi.
They did not. So we're going to wrap that one up there. Although I do want to talk about Twitch here in just a second. I just got to say that the folks over at Ars Technica, with the caption, it's not a great tombstone, but we'll just leave it at that. Great photoshopping skills, guys. You are...
Photoshop, more like Microsoft Paint.
Nice painting skills. Yes, that's there you go. But everyone, so I did want to talk about Twitch real quick because I had a story about DMCA, and obviously Nathan, you work in the the content
copyright world.
The copyright world, the content distribution and flagging,
I love it so
that
much.
Kind of thing. Yeah, it's unfortunately becoming a more and more part of Twitch, where people sit down, play video games, or do creative things, or whatever, just chat and eat in front of cameras. Or there's even a section for people who want to whisper into weird looking microphones and tap things. There's something for everyone on Twitch, but apparently there is not music for everyone, because
it's the dancing baby all over again. Remember the Prince dancing baby story? You remember that? Where the woman was she videoed her baby dancing to Prince, and Prince's estate sued YouTube, and they took it down, and it became this big thing. It became emblematic of how you can't really party all the time, right, on YouTube. It's really hard quoting Prince without sounding dirty.
Yeah, so with and of course with Twitch, what happened there just in the past 2 days, a lot of the partners on Twitch, so these are the people who stream to a number of people, and kind of this is their job, this is what they do. A lot of them were sent this vague email that said, well, there's copyrighted material on your in your past recordings, in your past VODs and things like that. They don't give you any kind of tools whatsoever to actually, kind of see what was copyrighted, how to take them down or anything like that. And they said, well, here's your warning. If you don't take down what's copyrighted, you're going to get penalized and or your account will be closed. And on top of that, even though some of you have thousands of hours of recorded content, the safest thing is just to delete everything on your page and just don't have recorded content that you had. Very complicated stuff for people who just want to play video games for a living.
Well, too bad. This is the problem, man. This is what did they think would happen? Twitch was built exactly on the same framework as YouTube. Is that YouTube was the Wild Wild West. You uploaded anything you want. This was before. YouTube came out in 2005. This was a couple years after. This was a couple years after Metallica sued Napster. Remember this? And the idea is that you can stop it. And the cynics would say, "Oh, you can't stop it. Can't stop it." They were right. It was encouraged. Now, hear me out. YouTube encouraged intellectual property theft. Twitch encouraged it because the whole concept is to take other people's content and talk over it. That's the whole concept. But that was to grow because it was really hard to get a really nice microphone, nice home setup, and get makeup tutorials. That wasn't YouTube. YouTube was putting on somebody's VHS tape and talking over it or having fun with it, playing music. And this was before Google bought YouTube. This was before Amazon bought Twitch, where they didn't have the algorithms to determine if your material was copyrighted or not. But what it did, it helped build the user base. And you're not going to build a user base if you're Nazi-like slapping everybody down. You can't have that. Can't have that. So they encourage this stuff. They encourage it. And Chris, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but 99% of gaming is cultural appropriation of other things. That's what it is. It's almost exclusively what it is. Every day we hear about a Fortnite lawsuit where somebody's getting sued over a dance, or some character is going to be introduced from Spider-Man, or Rambo goes inside Mortal Kombat. It's all about cross-pollination of content.
It's very and I think there's a right way and a wrong way to do it, but it's like saying, this dance of this character is paying homage to, to, let's say, Michael Jackson, but it's Michael Jackson's exact dance routine, and he does have copyrights on his dance routines.
He does. He will sue you into oblivion.
Yeah. But, so what is homage and what is stealing? Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe the word stealing is a little harsh, but it's lovely. It's a loving acknowledgement you like this. And I think that's why it was so tolerated. It's because you didn't see a lot of lawsuits after the Metallica thing, because I think artists rightfully realized that what these kids were doing, they were literally using what's called network theory to amplify the usage. For example, just last week or 2 weeks ago, we had the guy on TikTok hanging on the side of a car, cruising down the street, listening to, Dreams from Fleetwood Mac. Yep. And who the hell knew? Dreams is back in the top 10.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Can I just say this? Here's a little trick if you guys didn't know me well enough. It's my favorite song of all time.
Really? That was it, huh?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. You don't want to know number 2 because you'd lose your confidence in me.
Yes, Gangnam Style. I know. I know you very well.
Gangnam Style's in the top 20. It's not top 10. So Whoopa Gundam style, by the way. But anyway, going back to this.
And I just want to say real quick that the part about this, and people are wondering why does this come up so often. They mentioned here that the Recording Industry of America, whatever, they sent out 1,700 notices to Twitch in June alone, and in the previous 3 years, they sent about 700 total. So in 1 month, they almost tripled what they did in 3 years. Like they were really starting to put pressure.
There's
on
a reason for that.
There's
actually there's a legal reason for that, because music needs to be copyright for the platform. It's not an umbrella. For example, there's 3 types of copyrights for music. There's physical distribution. There's marketed distribution, which is radios and stuff like that, and then there was live distribution, like people would play it out in concerts. Right. You can actually purchase, like this, you see this all the time. A presidential candidate will play Aerosmith, and Aerosmith will say, "You can't play that music, it's mine, blah, blah, blah." Yeah, they can. They bought a license for it. Like you literally make money because you sold your music to this company. So too bad, Aerosmith. Walk this way. But going back.
And then even on top of that, there is this idea of perpetuity as well. That's why some video games that you played 10 years ago don't have the same soundtrack that they did when you first played
it. They change it. And if you really want to get into the details, go look up Sonic the Hedgehog and Michael Jackson. What a story. It's a real thing. It actually happened.
No, this is a PG stream, or it's PG-13 since we are brought up.
No, it's not dirty. It's not dirty. Well, long story short, Michael Jackson was contracted to do a soundtrack for Sonic the Hedgehog. Didn't work out. Michael Jackson's estate alleged that Sega retained some of the files, and then they reinterpreted them as Sonic the Hedgehog 3 music files. So every version, which they totally did, by the way, best soundtrack ever. But if you play Sonic the Hedgehog 3 now, it's got a completely different, completely awful soundtrack that bears no resemblance.
Did not know.
But they also made a game called Moonwalker, which is really good too. It's about Michael Jackson saving children. It doesn't hold up. But moving forward, a new twist is streaming, because here's the thing: people don't buy records anymore, albums for the most part.
They stream.
Even Billboard, right? When they calculate what's the number one song, it's all built on streaming, which is total bupkis. They should not do that. So, but anyway,
we were talking about Dreams and Fleetwood Mac, and when we covered that story, we saw that Chris was like, "Oh, so many people liked it, they went out and bought it." But when you really dug into the numbers, it made the top 10 because like it had like 500,000 streams in like the past week, as opposed to there were only like 30,000 actual song purchases, but there were like hundreds of thousands of streams, and that's what put it over the top.
It's exactly like your lobster roll. Like, you did not want to brave New England to get a lobster roll, right? That would require a lot of work, a lot of effort. So you're not going to leave your home to get a lobster roll. Instead, you're going to have the lobster roll shipped to you. It's still a lobster roll, but it's a lot more effort. Same with these streaming stuff. It's not someone going to Tower Records because they don't exist, or Sears, which they don't exist. They're not buying an album that doesn't exist. They're streaming the song. And I think, I forget the ratio. It's like 25 streams equal 1 purchase.
Yeah, something like that.
So when you see Drake and you see Fetty Wap, or you see any of the new kids, they got the number one song. Like, these people could not compete like in the same arena as some of the old artists, because the music is designed to be streamable. It's designed to be easily accessible. And so when you have something like Dreams or Phil Collins in the Air Tonight, which also saw a bump a couple months ago when those 2 kids reacted to it. That's interesting, because it still shows there's a market for it. And that's why Twitch is getting these takedowns. It's because these companies now hold even more power for streaming. They didn't care before because they didn't legally have the rights to it. And so now that Spotify and the companies that deal with these streaming services, they now have the legal recourse to take these songs down. Yeah. Like, they didn't really have that power before.
They're definitely getting better, and I have noticed over the past 3 years that the content recognition system to actually detect these, I mean, you can watch most of the content on Twitch is done live, but then you could go back and even like an hour or two within it, kind of being recorded and saved to Twitch and it being processed within about an hour. Every copyright song is flagged and muted, and they have it after the fact. They know exactly what was played, when was played, that kind of thing.
Well, I don't want to say his name, but I have a friend who works at the YouTube channel Watch Mojo, and he runs his own other YouTube station, and he's been battling YouTube because his entire station is about nostalgia, and he does high quality videos, and he's noticed that the takedowns and the reports for YouTube have gone up exponentially to the point where he's considering quitting because he can't deal with it. Because here's what they do. They don't give you a warning. They take it down, or they demonetize you. So they're still running ads. You just don't get any money from it. So you do all the work and you get none of the money. And so that's a little I can't say the word on your show, but it's really skeezy.
Yeah, and the reason I've kind of thought about this is because some of the largest names on Twitch, they make a lot of money, but and then there's like the kind of the middle of the road, people who definitely do make a decent living and a decent wage, and then there's a lot more who don't make any money doing that kind of thing. But I wish that there were, and I really do think something like this is coming where much like radio stations have to purchase licenses so that they can license songs and play them, I really wish that there was some kind of way to purchase a broadcasting license, permission, whatever, but it doesn't, this model, streaming, doesn't fit traditional, I guess, kind of like the price points and, the existing models. I wish there was something that you could pay for, and just allow you to broadcast it to your audience, but not on like, a 50,000 megawatt broadcasting tower.
It's kind of similar to what we saw happen with the App Store, where 12 years ago, you heard stories about indie developers who fought really hard to get their games published on platforms. This is before Steam, before the App Store. But what the App Store did, and I've said this before, it allowed anybody to get on and for anybody to create something and distribute it. And it changed the world. I still think the App Store is the most innovative thing Apple's ever done. And I stand by it. And it's changed the world in many, many ways. And I wonder if we haven't seen the next evolution of how music is distributed, especially through, you have these little things like Bandcamp, and you have these little services that let you sell, or everyone on YouTube with a guitar thinks they're going to be the next Justin Bieber. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is, I don't think we've seen it. I mean, you see TV shows like Mystery Dancer, whatever the hell that is, or you see I Want to Be not a millionaire. There's so many shows, my brain can't process them all at once. Yeah. But everybody wants to sing, but you have to go through Simon Cowell. You got to go through the Jamie Foxx. You got to go through these people. But what if you just bypass that altogether? And you're able to directly go from song to audience the way Twitch does. I think that's where the lateral movement's going to come, is the fact that we don't need these TV stations anymore. You do not need the gatekeepers anymore. It doesn't matter anymore. On one hand, I think the music will be really good until it becomes really crappy real fast. Yeah. So I don't know.
There won't be gatekeepers, but there would definitely be kingmakers. People who can draw and point the spotlight, because everyone's in, but not everyone's going to be noticed. So that'll be the big difference.
All I know is the future of music is Baby Shark.
Only 10 billion replays and counting. I think only about 10 5-year-olds have been contributing to those numbers.
I'm not joking. I'm really not joking.
Yeah,
I mean it.
Actually, isn't the company behind Baby Shark putting out their own like Nickelodeon esque TV channel? Like, I think it's on YouTube TV, but
me too. Please no.
True story. Yeah, the kind of the cheap animation and that kind of thing. They're actually going to start competing with established network TVs, because they're going to have TV shows, stations, programming, all that kind of thing.
They're going to call it Quibi 2. This time we mean business.
The Quibiest, absolutely. Now,
the Quibiest.
Let's talk about a couple of these other ones. Nathan, how do you feel about, actually, Carissa and then Nathan. Carissa,
yes.
Jony Ive, do you know who that is?
I have no idea who that is.
Okay, Jony Ive is the one who essentially made Apple. Jony Ive worked at Apple ever since the beginning of like Steve Jobs and kind of all the iterations. Like if you think about, I know that eventually Jony Ive's vision became, how do we improve this? And he just said, just start taking stuff off, like just minimal. But yeah, Jony Ive really drove the vision of what Apple looked like. Anyways, long story short, he created his own design firm, and his first customer was Apple. So they were still working together, but Jony Ive kind of opened his doors to say, I'm willing to help other people other than Apple. So Nathan, you know who Jony Ive is. Why did this story about this attract you?
because I think this is a really good example of the influence of Steve Jobs coming back to haunt us. And for those people who, I call this the Edison Tesla complex. The idea that when people argue, they take sides over, and it's usually people who are pro Tesla. They say, oh no, Edison stole, Edison didn't invent anything, Edison did this, Edison did that. But Tesla, he invented everything. Well, that's not true. What Edison did is very similar to what Steve Jobs did, is that he was the brains behind it. He was the inspiration. And more important, he was the guy with the whip, cracking the thing. And we see this all the time, Ben. You see this all the time, where the people who worked with Steve Jobs after Jobs died have not gone on to greatness. Even Steve Wozniak, good old Steve Wozniak, the Santa Claus of the tech industry, was a complete utter failure once he left Apple. Like, he still coasts on his name, but he hasn't done anything in 45 years except for complain.
The Woz, yes.
Yeah, the Woz. I mean, he's
as
cuddly.
Craig is saying in the chat room, yeah, the Woz, yes.
Yeah, he's cuddly, but he's useless. He doesn't do anything. Yes, because Steve Jobs noticed that he could solder a motherboard and create this, but Jobs is the one who marketed it and be able to do it. Jony Ives worked at Apple for years before Steve Jobs came back. He toiled as a middle management, nothing. And no one would listen to his ideas, nothing. The story goes, Jobs walked by his desk and noticed a design on his desk. Who are you? You've been here for a couple of years. Oh, yeah. And then they created the iMac, and then they created the iPad, the iPhone, all this stuff, like basically the idea. But you see, when Jobs died and the relationship fizzled out, Ives is one of those guys that needed a Jobs. He needed someone to say, no, we're not going to take that off. No, we need to leave that on. His designs, like you look at the trajectory of his designs, they've peaked. They've stopped. He hasn't done anything. He hasn't done anything since Steve Jobs died. And he's creating this design firm. I think beware. If you hire Jony Ives to design your thing, and Airbnb, good luck with this. But this guy needs a short leash. You need to rein him in because, like you said, Ben, his entire design motif is keep taking stuff off. Keep taking stuff off. It's probably why you lost the 3.5 millimeter jacket on iPhone.
Undoubtedly.
Yeah, because he claimed it was obscuring the beauty and it was limiting the thinness. Other better designers than Jony Ives, engineers, figured it out. I mean, your electronic is more than just beauty. It needs to be functional. And if you remove function, like we talked about this before, when none of the Apple devices would work with each other, they all had conflicting inputs. Like nothing
adapters,
worked. Yeah. It's like, what happened? It's because, again, you need someone to corral it in. And Jony Ives, I mean, he's a brilliant man, absolutely brilliant. But he became the face of Apple in those videos, with his nice, soothing British accent. Like, Apple design is like this. No, Johnny, go away. Johnny Appleseed. Go play your apples elsewhere.
And I didn't even realize this. Jony Ive was also the brain behind Apple. I should say Apple Park, which is their auditorium over at the Apple headquarters. And as much as I like to make fun of him, Jony Ive, if you're listening, I'd love to have you on, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But his style of just what can we remove, he removed the walls. He put giant glass panels everywhere and got rid of the walls.
And people smacked themselves into those walls.
Yeah, and I guess that was that and the Apple Watch and, of course, the iPhone and everything that is with the iPad. He left a mark, but I'm wondering... I'm very curious what he's going to do with Airbnb and how he can help Airbnb not just look like another Apple.
You know what would help Airbnb? Verification of photos. Because I can tell you, as someone who spent a week cruising Airbnb, there's some false people on there. Okay? You really gotta verify those photos. You can't just take like a glossy photo of a bed sheet and call that a big room. Like that would be more useful than a new font.
At least it's not like you're going to like Nebraska and then like one of the photos you see like Mount Fuji in the background. At least it's not that bad.
I went to Nebraska. You remember that? I went to Nebraska. No Mount Fuji. Well, it was. I'll just say this: my car didn't survive the whole trip, but
killed over in Nebraska.
It destroyed one of my tires. This was right after the floods last year. But no, I mean, I like Jony Ives, but I also understand that creativity is a symbiotic relationship. And I don't think I think what they're doing is they're probably hiring him for the name. Like there's no mention of he's going to be handling the design at all, because I don't think his company has a.
He
I don't think they
has
have a
design
website.
firm. Yeah, he has a design firm. That's what he started last year.
Like, and you look at what they've done nothing except make a logo. And the logo is a font. So I don't know what they expect from him at this point. I think they might be hiring him for the name because it's prestigious. But I don't know. I wish him well.
I just typed in Jony Ive design firm into Google. You're right. One of the first
is a fake website.
Well, no, there are no websites. there are no websites. Whatever linked to Jony Ive's. But I will say that, like this article here, legendary Apple designer Jony Ive has been chilling with so and so, and Jony Ive bringing his former Apple designer. Like that is his title, former Apple designer Jony Ive.
Exactly, and he hasn't done anything. Yeah. And so, you look at the new iPads and everything, which I don't know if he has anything to do with. I mean, the design is plateaued.
Yeah. Well,
I'm sorry, but
he designed the first one.
Slab?
So. Yeah, I guess start adding buttons. Just go the complete opposite direction of Ives. I don't know. So there's that.
They kind of have. They kind of have now. iPads have nice cursors now, so we're on our way.
Productivity is useful. So with that being said, let's see. We have two different sources here. Although, Carissa, because Popzara features a lot, and really, Nathan, I've been looking around. A lot of video games, a lot of video game headsets. So we should squeeze some video game stuff in here as well. Carissa found this story here about everyone's favorite and highly anticipated Cyberpunk 2077. I'm assuming that Corey Gallagher and everyone else over there, they're all looking forward to this, right, Nathan?
Oh, they won't shut up about it. Like, all they want to talk about is they love Keanu Reeves. We love Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves for the win. Keanu Reeves. No, I'm just kidding. I bet you love. Do you guys love Keanu Reeves?
Everyone loves Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves
he's one of the good ones.
Keanu Reeves is hitting that internet fame that.
Yeah.
The old Spider-Man actor.
Though, but he's legit. Yeah. 2019 was the best year he ever had. And 2020 is not so bad. Like, his Bill and Ted is not the greatest movie in the world, but it wasn't terrible. And so, Keanu Reeves still has our respect. And this man has taken bad acting to a new level. We don't care that he can't act. We don't care. We like him for who he is.
He's fast on his way to becoming Bill Murray's level of internet
He's
fame.
Great. He's fun. And Cyberpunk, I'm not the biggest fan because I'm not a fan of RPGs or Cyberpunk itself, but I know it's the follow-up to The Witcher 3 from the same company. Has nothing to do with The Witcher, but it's the follow-up.
But it's a giant RPG, and I guess the big news was that about 2 weeks ago it went gold, which means that it is finished. Like, whatever they have sent out, that's what's going to be printed. But at the same time, it's a software company, and everything.
That's not what it means. It means a giant day one patch of 100 gigs.
Yes.
That's what it means.
but at least they reported it went gold, so that means something. And so that happened 2 weeks ago, which is Nathan, if I recall, and you probably covered this as well. The first time it was showed off was, I think, at E3 in 2013.
It's been showed off in various states. It's always looked impressive. The company CD Projekt Red is very, very talented. They do good work, and they're a Polish developer. So popular that when President Obama went over there, they gave him a copy of The Witcher 2, which I don't think he knew what to do with, but they gave it to him. The books are the author of the book's popular, but the games are solid, and the game looks good. And much respect. You can't see me, but I'm hitting my chest. Much respect to a company that's willing to delay and forego a lot of revenue to take this game that had a whole month of itself and to drop it into the most competitive month of the entire year, which is November. November next month for video games is going to be Hiroshima times 10. It's really, really big, the biggest in a long time.
I know
that usually busy for that anyway.
But here's the thing, though. Not only do you have big blockbusters like Cyberpunk coming out, you have a new generation of hardware coming out.
Sure.
Usually those don't overlap. And so you have big software, you have big hardware, you have resurgent hardware, you also have new platforms, you also have probably an expansion of Black Friday, and you have a lot of people who have been stuffed in their house like hot dogs wanting to do something. And here's the thing. I don't know if people are going to be able to get the new hardware if they want it. I'm on record as they should have delayed it, but they don't listen to me. And I don't know why, but I don't know. And then you have big software that won't require the new hardware.
Yeah.
Like Cyberpunk 2077 is not a barn burner. You can play it on a relatively decent PC or your current console.
But it will take advantage of all the latest hardware that you have. Like, it can go way up or way down. I will say, though, that a lot of the video games that are coming out are going to utilize that backward compatibility that the consoles are always talking about. So it's not so much like, Cyberpunk 2077 was developed for the PlayStation 5. No, in fact, it was probably first developed for the PlayStation 3. And then it took so long that the 5 came here. But eventually they said that they're going to, like, if you buy it now, you get like the PlayStation 5 version, updated version when it releases. So,
well, that's what's funny about that though is that I believe the developer isn't really concerned about that, like, because they know they have a game that's probably a good game that doesn't require gimmickry. And if you look at the history of what games sell, which games don't, it's all about scalability. That's why something like Grand Theft Auto 5 is the best-selling game of all time. The game has survived multiple generations, multiple platforms, because it's been able to scale very, very easily. Same with Call of Duty, same with Minecraft, same with anything. And so Cyberpunk 2077, it's a big marquee, big game. But like I said, it's not a technology burner. And what's going to be interesting is how it affects the streaming services like Stadia and GeForce Now, because they're going to offer competing versions of the game that are very different. And that use different technology. Some are going to use RTX technology. Some are not. Some are going to use serial number purchasing. Some are not. Same with consoles. And so it's going to be interesting. This is going to be a sort of a canary in the mine to see, to gauge the interest of things. And it's a game that people genuinely want, which is really rare. Like, you don't usually see that flexibility with a game that people genuinely want. So it's going to be interesting. I'm interested in the aftermath.
I'm looking forward to it. And the real point of this article was, if you're watching the video portion, you can see it behind me. Although I was, in front of the English one. But anyways, they have a new technology that will automatically lip sync to the language. And Nathan, I know that you're very fond of the old, classic Godzilla movies, and they are often made fun of as the English translations make zero attempt to match the lip syncing of the original footage. So they're hoping
that's part of the charm, Ben.
This AI completely and hopefully eliminates that, where regardless of the language, the lips will match the language that they are in.
I actually feel sorry for some of the developers, because I don't know if you knew this, but a lot of the people who develop big name games like at EA and Activision, they actually are hired to do syncing of vocals with lips. A lot of them are women. And what's going to happen is if the AI technology threatens to ruin their jobs. And that's not good, because I hate to say this, I don't want everything so beautifully automated to the point where it's sterile. And so, like I said, I love, like, if you watch anime, if you watch American animation, anything, we call them mouth flaps, right? Like, if you watch a Pixar movie, Pixar's animators are so good, that there's no AI involved. It looks like Tom Hanks is talking through Woody, even though he doesn't look like Tom Hanks, even though, the characters don't look like the actors, they get the essence. It's like an inversion of the Uncanny Valley.
Yeah.
And AI is really good. Like, AI is awesome. I'll give it credit. Ooh, look at that. Look at that guy. He's got horns growing out of his ears. But
they're gauges, Nathan.
What's that?
They're gauges, Nathan.
That's me. That's a spitting image of me. How'd you get me on there? You never knew I was a muscular black man, did you?
I did not know that. But I gotta say,
in my dreams.
And real quick, Carissa, what'd you say?
So they're called plugs, technically.
They're because they don't have a hole in them. You are absolutely right. I should have never. Yeah, but I gotta say, Nathan, though, that I mean, because there's so much dialogue, I don't know how many hours they recorded. I want to say somewhere in like the couple of 100 hours of dialogue recorded that you can speak to all the different NPCs and the side quests and things like that. I don't think we should rush that every voice actor is losing their job on this one.
I know. I just have to say it.
I think that what we're looking at here is instead of only key characters in the main storyline, whatever, getting only a couple of languages and, being just English, French, Spanish, and, kind of Chinese, instead, we're hopefully going to get every language and every side quest fully animated, and it's just going to be that much more in depth.
I think it's a plus for the industry, to be honest with you, overall. I just, I'm old-fashioned.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. And ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today's show. It flew on by. Woo! And Nathan, I want to thank you so much for being on here. Again, if people go check out popzara.com, which, hey, Computer America will have a link to it, what are they going to find? I mean, hey, Space Ghost and Dino Boy. I haven't heard about Space Ghost since I watched that on Adult Swim, Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
Space Ghost Coast to Coast. I think there's a new talk show coming on Disney+, but no, go to the website. Go check out the new episode of State of Gaming with me and Mr. Corey. Go look at the new reviews. A lot of cool stuff. There's a lot of cool stuff out there. You got to go find it. And on Popzara, you'll find most of it.
Definitely. I'm looking forward to the revamp. So everyone, until next month, Nathan, we may have to do some work with obviously the holidays coming up, but we'll definitely get you on. And Carissa, thank you, of course, for being here. Everyone else out there, thank you for joining us. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys. Bye.